Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are during Power Hour on Tuesday, October 26th. We're going to take a look at SoFi today. Now, I'm doing the video a little bit earlier today because I have a conflict after the market closes. So if anything insane happens, we'll talk about it later. But I want to do a quick recap on the daily chart and then show a different view of the daily that somebody sent me and then talk about this Fintel SoftBank, escapade, I don't know what to call it, and just sort of, clue folks into that if they're wondering or unfamiliar. But anyway, here's my chart, obviously, and SoFi just kind of continuing to struggle through this area. Obviously, I was hoping for a bigger blow off today to the upside, but it's down a bit today. I think much of the market was struggling. We had this is a pretty big drawdown here throughout the day, and SoFi catching some of that for sure. Full disclosure, I closed out my 22 call option because it was profitable and I wanted to lock that in, and closed out my 25 because I wanted to reposition, and so I actually grabbed a $20 call today. So I sold out to lock in some profit, and the 25 was just so out of the money that I thought, well, let me just combine these, the funds from selling of these two things, the 25 and the 22, which was very profitable, and then take the 20. So I did that today, just for whatever sharing. But I think that we're gonna have to see what happens here for sure. It's definitely putting us through the paces. Now, this sort of like flagging that we've been looking at, I can put it in here and then I'm going to delete it because it's so horrendously convoluted, this chart at the moment. But we have, sort of all of this action coming in here. And so, I was hoping that we'd get a bigger push from these nexus points, but if we want to contain where this is now, it's going to have to hold this one right here, the one I just deleted, because it just started to sort of test that today. So I don't know, if that's going to hold up or not. And my only concern is that if it's sort of like establishing a floor here, but that we're starting to make a series of lower highs, that we start to get into this descending triangle pattern. Did I get that right? Yeah. Which then could push us down through to the bottom. So we'll have to see what happens. But for the time being, I think it might be okay. And I don't know how much of what happened today was a reaction to what we're going to cover with Fintel. I mean, obviously this was a pretty steep sell-off. But like I said, this sort of seems to match around the time frame when there was a pretty steep sell-off here as well. So I don't know. Obviously, a lot of times these growth stocks and sort of seemingly riskier plays take a big brunt of, when there's a small move down in the market, a lot of times they'll just kind of crumble under the pressure. We've certainly seen that before. But obviously, starting off the day today, it wasn't able to hold this 2058. It got compressed between that and the VWAP, and then it flipped it to very clearly, right? Flipped it from support to resistance, and that just shoved it down through, and then it just fell right through that 1993. I mean, I know I've been saying all along that 1993 is dotted because it's not as strong of a zone, but after it fell to this 1946 and then reversed, it has been setting up along that area. And more so might be doing that because it's sort of in proximity to the VWAP. Now, I'll be interested to see as we try to close out the day here, there's about 50 minutes left in the market, if it's able to reclaim the VWAP and we can get a strong push into close, that would be obviously the best bullish case scenario. But, right now, just kind of, like I said, hanging out around the VWAP, and I think it probably has more to do with that than necessarily this 1993 sort of weak support resistance zone. Now, if we want to flip over here, we'll get into that in a minute. Somebody had sent this to me, so thank you to the viewer, watcher, subscriber, whatever, who watches the YouTube videos. They had sent this to me, and they said, I have found this channel that I think, you might want to take a look at. And it's a really good looking channel. So thank you for sharing this. You see here, sort of setting up the top of the channel, confirming it there, and then several tests at the bottom. So pretty clean. And now it's kind of struggling with pushing out of the channel, which we've seen happen several times. We see it happen sometimes when stocks push to the downside and they fall out the channel, and then they just start kind of, using the bottom bound of the channel as resistance and continuing to follow it up. So my hope here is it tried to blow out of the channel, and if it needs to get sort of retesting here in the channel, if it can sort of continue to stick itself and just treat that as a support zone, continue walking up, that would be the best case scenario. If it falls back in, it's okay, but I mean, this channel is wide enough that this could bring it down into like the mid to upper 18s and still be in the broader channel, which obviously is less than ideal, especially for somebody who just took a call position. But we don't know what is going to come up for the lead into earnings and stuff like that. So we'll just kind of have to see. Okay, so the news. So I started getting just sort of tweets coming at me furious today, and folks sort of pointing this out. I was not clued into this at all, but basically on Fintel, they had marked as the security SoFi Technologies, this filing 13D, that's basically looking as though SoftBank, which is here, reporting like a large sell. But obviously, if you scroll up the document that they have here, this is for ESS Tech Inc., which is not SoFi Technologies Inc. So obviously this is still live on Fintel's site because I clicked on it. Let's see if we give it the old refresh. If they've not done a thing to change it. But some folks pointed me, because like I said, I just got this secondhand, and I was like, hey, if you can send me some stuff, I'll share it in the video. So double, triple, quadruple check this for yourself, because I haven't looked deeply into it. I just said I would share it because, like I said, I was getting inundated with it. But there's this post on StockTwits. You just punch this in if you want to take a look at it. But somebody made a huge mistake, which is the reason for the sell-off today. Oh my goodness, StockTwits. So that's sort of what I'm saying. This was posted at 105, and we were looking at this sell-off throughout the day today, and that was posted sort of just after this big sell-off here. So whether or not they're correct that that's the reason for that, I don't know. But basically, they're saying somebody fat-fingered 13D filing and assigned it to SoFi. Here's what Fintel said, that they filed this with the SEC, disclosing ownership of 31,714, blah, blah, blah. This represents 23.5% ownership of the company. In their previous filing dated, that's July 23rd, 2021, SoftBank reported 117,795,000, yada, yada, indicating a decrease of 73.08%. Fintel is dead freaking wrong. Here's the actual 13D filing. So they link us to the Edgar data, which is where you'd find that information. So feel free to just copy paste this into your browser if you want to have a look. The filing is for ESS Tech, which is, what we just looked at there. So what they had imported. And so, I mean, talk about bad luck if this is true. SoftBank owns 32 million shares of GWH, and according to their most recent filings, which are still from Q2, they still own 118 million shares of SoFi. Yikes. There's some other tweets that sort of were coming my way, but definitely some folks trying to spend some time to get the word out there. But my goodness, if I mean, you laugh so you don't cry, but I mean, if this is actually the reason for this like 3.5% dip today, or I mean, it was definitely more at this point, right? So let's just call it a 4% dip today. I mean, wow. Just Fintel, where you're supposed to get your financial intel, just fat fingering, making errors. If that's true, just really unfortunate series of events that would impact SoFi there. Data, SoFi. here we go. Still, we've put in a good month, right? So trying to keep these days in perspective. I feel awesome if this is because of that Fintel error, if it's an error. Almost 8% short interest as a percentage of the free float at the moment. Days to cover, getting closer to 2, so we'll watch it if it starts to creep up into the 2, 3, 4-day range. That could signal something sort of bigger at hand. But nothing else has really made any dramatic movements since we looked at it yesterday. The biggest thing to me is this issue and the extent to which it is actually an issue. But good on those folks who are trying to get the info as they see it's out very, very quickly. Definitely applaud them for that, and thanks for the folks who sent it my way so that I could try to share it with anyone who watches these videos, in case they kind of got seduced by by any wrong info that was put out there today. But the only other thing I was going to say, I can't remember. All right, it's been a long day. I got to rush off, so I will, plan on checking in tomorrow. This is maybe the most awkward ending to any of my videos ever, but that's a pretty high bar, to be honest. So, all right, folks. Well, in any case, I hope that your trading day went well. Oh, this is what I was going to say. You could always look at it as maybe it gave you, if you have been looking to try to grab an entry in SoFi, maybe it gave you a decent entry point with this sort of steep sell-off today. Obviously, I took it for that. I didn't even get caught up in the sell-off, I don't think. I just happened to, check the situation that I was in, and I said, I got to lock in this profit from this 22. It doesn't make sense not to. And this 25 is just too far out of the money, so let me combine those funds and just get something closer into the money. And then this dip was happening, and then, it's just sort of waiting. And I tweeted when I, took my option, so you could see it if you want to flow through to my Twitter. All right, folks. Well, I hope that you are off to a good start this week and that it continues into hump day tomorrow, and I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.